So Jake's running a little late, so
Okay,
might want to do other items
do
first.
something first.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, welcome to our city council work meeting. What is the date? September 12th, 2023 already. We're gonna do a little bit of change. I mentioned that Jake's running a little late, so we'll start our work meeting. And welcome anybody that's joining us. I don't see anybody, but if you're there, welcome. Gary's on there. Hello, Gary. Okay, so instead of starting with discussion on item one, we'll go to item two. And turn that over to Ty.
Okay, we've had a notice of intent for annexation. This is the request is by Lisa Priest, but it's maybe better known as Arlene Christensen's property.
Yeah.
So it's everything from 700 east down 600 west, you know, the road that goes to the sewer lagoons. So it's that top corner, the bottom portion where the field is, and then across the tracks, there's another field that follows that road down to the.
And that would hook onto the city boundary all the way down.
Yep, so it's all contiguous. There's no islands or peninsulas created by it. And then just as a reminder, when we did a sewer easement, we did an agreement with Arlene to do a sewer easement. And in that agreement, I have a copy of that we also allowed five sewer installations and agreed to annexation at their request. And so
That's
that,
correct.
yeah, so
That was actually quite a long process to get that all.
Yep. yeah, and they'll pay, seller has to pay all the applicable costs for annexations as required by law, but those 5 properties we did agree, you know, as part of that easement agreement. So they've kind of put it together as a project. The family's all on board. And right now it's just we just received the notice of intent. So we're not approving annexation at this point, just that we're willing to, you know, before everyone starts spending big money on it.
And there was one neighbor that's not in that family that's okay with it too.
Yeah, so the county sent out their notices. They did notice of intent, and the county had to do anybody within 300 feet or yards of their property to notify them so that they had a chance to file like I'm not in favor of it. So,
Protest.
there's the word. But I don't know of anybody that's opposed to it. The top properties already have water service. So in a lot of ways, this is what we've all kind of been asking for on the edges of our property, is go ahead and annex and you know, get the rest of your city services and square up the boundaries prior to development. So
It's actually, it's kind of been a long time coming. I mean, we've talked about it for quite a while. And the road going to the sewer lagoon, does that become the north border of the city boundary then? Yeah, okay.
north or east, depending on how your compass works.
I'll call it north.
So I have a question. That whole road turns into the city then. It's not a county road anymore.
Gary, that's
That's a very good question.
That's probably a question for you if that's half the road, the full road. Where I'm not sure that they own the full road. So their request would be up to the road. So I'm not sure, because we have other places where half the road is in the city and the other half is in the county. Down Island Road, there's a little jog right there. Because of, it's not both sides. Both sides of that road are not currently requesting annexation. So Gary, do you know how we treat that?
Well, typically, unless it's included in the annexation petition and in the description, it would remain in the county. But it seems, it's a dirt road, as I recall,
Right.
right?
Well,
No,
It's paved from 700
One section.
down to
the
the,
interstate.
So
But-
our side essentially on the south side is paved. From the interstate down to the sewer plant.
No, from 700 east.
Okay.
700 east.
Down to the,
Then go down 600, yeah.
yes, and once you cross the railroad, then it's dirt.
which Gary, let me ask a question here. Would we ever get an easement on that dirt road from the Christiansens going down to the sewer lagoons?
I believe there's one that exists, but I
Yeah.
can't remember, Tony, the specifics of that. I can't, but I remember that we needed an easement in order
It's
to put our line down there.
Would that dirt road then become part of the city?
so it's a sewer easement only. It's,
Yeah, but would the dirt road become part of the city, become part of the city?
Not automatically,
Not automatically.
would need to
so
be.
can the applicant request the full road?
Yeah, and the county would have to sign off on it as well.
Yeah.
Well, and then we'd want to make sure it met our requirements too.
Well, so you can still annex it and then it's not till the point of development
Okay.
would the improvements need to be made. So you can still require them to develop their half of the road and then on the other side, if they ever come into the city, and there has been some interest on the other side of that road. No application, but just because they all got notified of the annexation, that there's been some interest as well, just to,
What's it zone now and does that transfer directly? How does it transfer to us? Very good question.
yes, so the zoning would stay the same. They're not petitioning anything different at this point. So it's residential on 600 or 700 east, that yellow.
No, this-
Oh, the blue, sorry.
Uh-huh.
I was on the wrong side of the
And
road.
then light blue is
Low
freeway
density.
commercial or something?
Then, yep, and then the light green right there is highway commercial, which is the same zone where the dealership is. So it just fronts all that highway frontage, which is the cornfield below Arlene's house. And then on the other side is residential.
But wouldn't the county zone be different than our zone?
Yeah.
Well, this is
yeah.
what our general plan calls for
Yeah,
currently.
Ty, one point of clarification. So we will be assigning a zone, but the land use can stay the same.
Yeah. Until they, yeah. So it's whatever it is now, but the general plan,
Well, it needs to come in as something. And so I think you want to just zone it how,
it is.
So if-
I think how it should be is what I would say. Gary, what do you say? When a property is being annexed, it has to be given a zone. And so it might as well
Follow
follow the general plan is the best recommendation. And hopefully that's what you want it to be.
yeah.
And if you don't designate it as anything, it'll come in as agricultural, so.
Can they petition a zone?
They can.
well, but in future years, if they're gonna develop the property, at that point, they could.
Yeah, or if our general plan changes, it'll give other options, but to Jake's point, they don't have to. It doesn't change the current use
Yeah.
regardless of what the zone calls for. That's only for future.
But again, our zones don't necessarily match up. Could ours be more restrictive or less restrictive? And would that be a concern to them and or us?
It's not a concern for them because
They've looked at ours.
they looked at ours and then whatever they're in the county doesn't really.
Their concern is up at the blue by 700 East is that can be a buildable lot.
Yeah, so right now they wouldn't be able to do anything in the county zone because the lot size is too big.
It's an acre instead of an acre and a half.
Yeah, so there's a difference right there.
Mhm.
And then we just assign it the 1 acre or we just try to match it as close as we can to what it already is.
It should be rezoned at the same time that the petition is actually accepted and the hearing takes place. So the planning commission should look at this between now and the time that the hearing for that property takes place for the actual annexation, which is in 30 days, I think, within 30 days. So is this on, do you know, Jake, if this is on the planning commission?
It's
agenda?
not, but we can amend the agenda and put it on for next week because we meet next Tuesday.
But
So-
is that time?
I don't know so are you saying that before this goes to the council, when will the council see it? 30 days from today? I guess a month from today?
About a month from today.
So that means that the planning commission would have to make a decision or do a second meeting, but they would have to make a decision next week. So I'm going to go ahead and we'll add it to the agenda and I'll get them a staff letter on a recommendation.
So does that also involve a public hearing then next week?
The public hearing will be, that's after the 30 days, correct?
Yeah, there will be a public hearing on the annexation itself, and the ordinance will be passed. And what should happen is before the public hearing on the annexation, so it can be placed on the agenda because the law requires that it be placed on within 30 days, right? And that hearing can be continued until the planning commission has made its determination on the zoning and a recommendation to the city council. So the planning commission should look at this, and it doesn't matter, Jake, if we extend that date for the actual annexation of the property. That's the one thing you can do. If your planning and zoning doesn't line up with the annexation date, you can actually extend that date until you've had your hearing and you have a recommendation from the planning commission to zone it a certain way. Does that make sense, or am I confusing?
So Gary, we eliminated the 2 public hearings and the council doesn't do a public hearing on other matters. Would this be similar that it just, the public hearing is planning commission only?
Yeah, the public hearing on the annexation is planning commission only, but on the date that you actually annex this into your boundaries, you're required to have a public hearing as well for the annexation. So the annexation public hearing is different than the zone change public hearing.
And with our planning commission meeting, can it be a discussion, or when we start it, should it be a public hearing?
It should be a public hearing.
Okay,
It would be a zone change is what it would be.
so we'll need to advertise. Oh,
You're going to come into a situation where you don't have enough time to advertise for a public hearing for a zone.
yeah,
So what I'd recommend is that you do it at the next possible time that you can actually do a public hearing for the zone change. If you were just going to leave it as agricultural, there wouldn't be any problem. It goes straight, you could take it to the council. It automatically would be, according to state law, agricultural. But here they're wanting to follow the specific zones and uses that are in place. And so planning commission take a look at it, they'd approve it, send their recommendation to the city council. City council's meeting for annexing the property is going to collide with the period of time that you have actually to advertise the zone change and get it to the council. So what you do is leave that on for 30 days from now, advertise the annexation and then continue the annexation to the next regular meeting, which would give you enough time to get the zone change completed. Does that make sense?
So can we pull that picture back up, Denise? So up in that upper corner along 700 East where the arrow is, what's that zoned for? Isn't that,
That's what it's in.
Residential.
So that's the zone that they would need,
for the whole piece or just that?
just that.
Which it's already there, right?
Well, it's not zoned that, this is the general plan. This is what the city would like it to come in as.
And that's their intent until a future plan to develop comes up.
Currently, this is our zoning map, it's not zoned any.
Because it is in our city.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, okay,
So it's just part of the annexation declaration,
okay.
why we have a,
And this is our map, which shows that all of this area, we've already proved that it would come into the city. And this is the general plan of the zone we would like to come in as.
The next, that other map he's on, just a sec, please. So is our sewer lagoons currently city property?
No,
Will they become city property with this annexation?
No,
Because that land hasn't applied.
this is only Arlene's down here.
I happen to know the guy that owns the other side of that. Mike Paskett, so my brother-in-law. And he's pro annexation.
Is there a piece of that property, or almost right there where your pointer is, Denise? Is there another property owner there besides Christensen's?
Right over here, yeah.
They,
This is Christensen's right here.
they were trying to sell it, right? Or is that, am I
No.
It's that little
that's-
strip this way.
that's,
It's inside the city limit.
already?
yeah.
Okay,
And it's not the edge, it's in the middle.
okay.
That one, yeah.
Ty, do you see any reason that it would be burdensome to bring it into the city?
No, we haven't gone through, any detail, the staff, because this is just their notice of interest, but it's serviceable. Sewer will definitely flow, might need a pressure regulator on the way down, I'm just kidding.
Won't do good, huh?
Yeah.
Gary, if I could clarify, so 1 week from today, we have planning commission. It's not enough time to advertise and have a public hearing. I could introduce it as a background information for the planning commission. Could we do the public hearing in a week from, or a month from next week?
Yes,
That's okay. That doesn't cause problems to the council or the city.
no, what we would do is, there's a 30-day period, we have to have a hearing for the annexation. And all you do is you place it on the agenda as a hearing for the annexation. You can take input, but then you continue that to the next regular city council meeting, which should be enough time for the planning commission to have heard it, to make a positive recommendation to the planning or to the city council. And then at that time, it just delays the annexation for 2 weeks is what it would do. I think that time period would work out. Jake, if you do it, if you have the planning commission meeting, your next regular planning commission meeting, not this week, but the one. As soon as you can get your 10-day notice out of the public
Yeah.
hearing. And then the next regular city council meeting, which I think is going to probably squeeze you a little bit. Because if you need to put the annexation on within 30 days of the petition, you're probably going to need an addition, they're going to need to continue the city council meeting for 2 weeks.
So you will make the vote in 2 council meetings.
Mhm.
Good.
Okay,
So it wouldn't come to us.
okay,
till
if that works.
24th.
And that has to be a public hearing for the annexation is what that would be. And I just leave it open and continue the public hearing until the zoning catches up with the public hearing for the annexation.
And the applicant could come at the public hearing next month at this meeting and make their case and answer questions.
Sure.
Okay.
Ty, do we know of any intent, or I realize that may not be part of the annexation requirement, but has there been any discussion on development and so forth?
No other than just subdividing for home.
Yes.
one of the upper lots. And,
Oh, I see, just one of the 5 lots that have already been approved and
that's the only real intent, but for us, I view it as a positive just because we're trying to grow ourselves out of this problem where we've extended our services beyond our boundaries.
sure.
And all of the improvements don't need to be made until there's an application for development.
Mhm.
So other than when we go through the annexation, they'll have to extend the services. You know what I'm saying? But they'll have to bring the sewer and all that up as in our annexation agreement, but curb gutter sidewalk and
Mhm.
those sort of things could be delayed until.
Suppose there were no intent to develop anything, we wouldn't need to bring, the sewer and utilities wouldn't need to be brought forward. Is that fair?
I think that's negotiable. Is that not negotiable, Gary? On
Yeah.
when the improvements need to be made?
You could, if you wanted to do an annexation agreement, and just maybe designate when those would need to be made. Otherwise, they'll just be made whenever development pushes those
Cause
improvements to be put in.
Just from conversation, they're ready to go.
yeah, that's
They're ready to do
good
the
to see the
service.
up there.
Mayor,
And they pay for that
May I
to
make a
get it up
comment?
there. Yeah.
Gary, hey, Denise, will you throw that map up again?
Here.
I don't,
Take that with you so Gary can hear what you're saying, Tony,
okay, so, yeah, maybe the other one, Denise. Oh,
and Gary can hear you.
so, no, the other one. Okay, Gary, I don't know if you recall this or not, but for a while, this became a discussion about a sewer line, extending a sewer line over here and hooking in and coming down to the sewer lagoon. Do you remember that? Servicing this commercial highway and running a sewer line over here and then down the road to the sewer. I guess my question is, can that be part of your negotiation? As if you annex that in, can you say, well, at some future date, we might want to run a sewer down there and tie in?
It's already there.
It's not there, is it?
Yeah. Yeah, they provided an easement.
Did we already do
sewer
that?
Go through and it's along the freeway with 5
No.
connections.
I remember talking about it. a
Yeah,
long
so
time.
the sewer goes on the bottom side of
We
her
already did that?
property and it also
Oh,
has
okay.
there's also a sewer stub out for that immediate adjacent property.
Yes.
As part of the
Oh, okay.
agreement. Right? Yep, but those homes, they would have to extend the sewer main up the road.
They'd have to come
And
down the
over
road,
to
down the
the-
road and tie it. I didn't think we tied in from on there along the commercial highway yet, but I
Yep.
guess we did.
And that was actually to facilitate that subdivision. That's why we had the
Oh,
easement, is because
okay.
they needed that fall in order to finish that subdivision there
I
behind.
just remember discussing it when we put the dealerships and that in, so that's. why.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that developer put in the
All right,
line and bought the easement.
never mind. We're way ahead of it.
Can I ask a question? Yeah, is there anything else that we need that is outside of what we would require with just a normal developer coming in and putting in the improvements? Because the annexation is probably the place where you actually put into place an annexation agreement with anything else in it that you might need, that might not be just the things that you regularly require for development. Does that make sense at all? So
Uh,
then you would incorporate an annexation agreement into this annexation, but it sounds like I'm not hearing that there's anything in addition to just the annexing of the property, the rezoning it, that would be different than any other, what we'd require of any other developer once they get into the city.
Yeah, I guess the only question it would be if we required something in front of the existing homes.
Okay.
Like sidewalks.
Well, or like a delayed agreement or payback agreement. So there's a lot of that property is undeveloped, and so the roads and those improvements will come, you know, at the point of development, but we're also annexing a couple of properties with the frontage. And so unless you know, unless I mean, right now it's all their own development. Right? Like it's all family development, so they could.
Also, I guess what you're saying is maybe right away acquisition. Does that need to, are
easements
are these properties have the right away for the streets? You know, sometimes you'll have streets, but
setbacks and all that, yeah.
well, where the road's on private property, and so when a transaction like this happens, it's a good time to
Yep.
require the right of way that's already being used or planned for.
That's my only question is just how we deal with the current existing homes. Everything, but the vast majority of it is we're gonna require at the point of development. So,
Are they on Rocky
but
Mountain?
like you said, if it's just utility easements or whatnot that we need,
Are they on city
Are
power?
they on Rocky Mountain Power?
they're on city power,
They're on city power and sewer. I mean,
Water.
water, just not.
not sewer. Yeah, and so then we'll inherit roads. There's really no curb gutter and sidewalk along 700 East. But if we have like Jake said, an easement for all the future stuff, it would likely be a
I
future
think-
project.
I think this is the first annexation request I've been part of.
Me too.
Outside of subdivision costs, are there, and which there don't appear to be any right now, are there any other significant expenses that the applicant will be paying?
No, not just for annexation by itself,
Right.
other than a lot of survey work and
Yeah, and run that sewer line from the freeway up to the corner and over.
That's
So-
part of the
but
development.
that's part of development.
Yeah, that's later.
That said, the annexation itself isn't a significant cost.
No, and
Just
just
some
the
paper.
questions that we run up against before is because it was annexation with development.
Right.
And
And that's where the cost
That's where
comes.
the real challenge has been every time we've been approached for annexation.
Mhm.
It's been for development and those costs were
Right.
considered.
We're more than just.
It's, do
Running
you
a
wanna,
line.
do you really want to do this and do it to city standards or do you want to
Mhm.
not? And they're all for
That took
you know,
place on the other side.
being part of the city and just following our land use and our utility standards.
Oh, go ahead, Jeffrey.
As it runs under the freeway and heads west, does it go all the way to the river? What they're wanting to annex in?
Mhm.
And it goes across the river. They own across the river some.
And they're wanting that across the river also?
Yeah.
The land,
All
the
that-
road doesn't go across the river, but the land,
Why, while we're doing it, why wouldn't we annex the wastewater facility and have it in the city boundaries? As it's coming right there and
We'd have to annex the other side of that lane.
and
all the way back up to the freeway? You can't just
Well.
our sewer facility
Yeah, when you
in?
cross the railroad tracks. That individual, Mike Paskett, that owns that, he's sort of friendly to annexing that into the city. But the sewer's still,
and there's really no advantage or disadvantage
Okay,
to the
there's
sewer being in or out
having
of
it in the
this
city.
city, yeah. There's,
We could do it, it'd just be a separate application. Because this one's already been submitted.
Right, well, as we're going through with,
well, and it kind of creates a little,
county.
So we'd have to annex it from the county if we wanted to put it in the city. The sewer lagoons.
just the property, yeah. But it makes more sense just to do it with the other side of the street.
when that comes.
Yeah, and instead of creating a little peninsula it wouldn't really be a peninsula, but
You just
So the-
make a little flag there.
Who owns that land in between?
in between.
Oh, the next to it, to the right. That one.
That's
That's the part.
That's what's annexing in.
All the way down there.
To the boundary on the west would still be East Canyon Creek? I mean, the river at that point.
boundary goes to the river.
And they have a little piece over.
There is a little teeny, I think there's a little,
Yeah, there's a.
just a little teeny,
Cause the river's
the river's changed.
Wash it
course.
away.
It Makes it bad, doesn't it?
used to be a bigger piece at one time, but
I think if I'm thinking right.
The eighties changed it.
So can I make a comment? So tonight is accepting the petition for the purpose of setting on an agenda in the future, a public hearing and the annexation of the property. In the meantime, it's going to go to the planning commission because there is some change in zoning that needs to be looked at and a recommendation needs to be made. But if at the same time we need to put into place, to Jake's point, annexation agreement that would have the property owners who are annexing agree to, when such time as the rest of the property develops, that they agree to install the improvements across the front of their properties. Now would be the time to do that, or to do a delay agreement, have them sign a delay agreement for that purpose. Is that what I'm hearing from the council? Okay.
I had not.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that doesn't need to go to the agreement, the annexation agreement doesn't need to go to the planning commission because it's an administrative item specifically for the annexation. So it could come directly to the council on on the same day that the hearing for the annexation takes place. And if it's delayed another two weeks after that, that would be fine. But we can put together an annexation agreement along with the resolution ready for the council the same night you approve the annexation.
You say no planning commission activity?
No, on the annexation agreement, it doesn't need,
Oh, the agreement, okay.
the agreement, but it
On
does,
the consideration, the planning commission still looks at it.
yes.
Okay.
when it develops, it would go to the planning commission.
So does this need on the active agenda, does this need a motion tonight to move this forward, or just there should be made a motion to consider it?
To accept the petition,
Yeah, so if I understand it correctly, tonight we're approving to put it on an agenda. We'll notice it. We'll open on the 10th. It'll be on our agenda. We'll have a public hearing, but keep the public hearing open until the 24th. The planning commission will meet on the 17th. And forward a recommendation for actual approval on the 24th, if I got the dates right.
Well, I'm gonna throw a kink into this, Gary.
Hmm.
Because, so Teresa received the petition August 31st.
Hmm.
I took it over and I gave the county the letter that they have to send out to certify it to the property owners. So if we have to have a public hearing by the planning commission within 30 days, then the planning commission is going to have a special meeting before the end of September. Is that correct, or am I?
no. So the council is still going to have an annexation hearing on 30 days from the date that you received that they approved the petition tonight. However, the planning commission needs a little more time to actually approve the zone changes. And
So
they've
the
got,
30 days is from tonight because that's when we accepted it, not when they gave it to Teresa.
that's
okay.
correct. Yeah, from the date the
Okay.
petition's approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that helps.
Yeah, so that's basically the process outlined if you're in favor of it. So that's
That's what'll take place tonight.
just if we're interested in entertaining so we can hear from the public and
Motion to accept the
petition.
petition.
And then that would be on the 24th council meeting of November.
The final decision. It'll be listed on the 17th,
Oh,
or I mean, whatever month.
October's the next one.
It'll be listed on the 10th.
Okay.
We'll open a public hearing, but we'll leave the public hearing open until the 24th.
Okay.
Subdivision over there.
Okay, is there any questions on that procedure?
Sorry about that.
Mine's all been answered.
Okay.
Hi, would that leave anybody, I'm sorry, let anybody else on 700 East outside the city limits that would still be on our
Service.
service?
Mhm.
There would still be homes still outside this,
On the north side of the street. This will just be on the south side of the street.
yeah,
Or like,
that's right,
Cardell Mortensen.
Cardell and, yeah.
But this is a big step and also is more likely area to develop than on the other side of the street.
Right.
So they're not kind of standing in the way of a lot of future development. Where we usually have the problem, right? When somebody else on the other side wants,
Right, it's not an island. It won't
yeah.
create an island.
Mhm.
But if across the street, they wanted to petition for an annex,
Yeah, if they,
that still wouldn't affect where.
no, it'd just be a whole separate process, but the nice thing about that though is that the sewer would be available,
To them.
up in that on 700 East.
Gary, question for you. If the property is annexed, do we then update our annexation document to include the next parcel outside of the city as a potential piece to annex?
Sure, and if it's not already in our annexation policy declaration, we could amend that, but you go through a process similar to the master plan amendments that we've got.
That's how.
For doing that, it goes through the planning commission and is approved by the planning commission.
Um,
Can the county object to any of this? I mean, would they have any reason to
There. I mean, that's Larry's.
in
They-
this case?
Granite Heights.
Yeah, they could, but it's not very often that they do, simply because the city provides the services. The county doesn't have the services to
Mhm.
provide.
City's been mowing.
Gary, does the county have to put it on an agenda? Any specific time period? And approve this, or they just, if
No.
they don't do anything, then it's okay?
Yeah, if they don't do anything, it's okay. Everybody, all the affected entities get notice, right, Denise?
Yes.
We send that out. And if we don't get anything from those affected entities, there's considered to be no protest and the annexation moves forward. If this is really confusing to all of you, you ought to see how confusing it is to the attorneys who are trying to redraft it this year. It is, Jake will be the first probably to admit that the annexation statute is the most confusing statute right now of any land use statute, because a number of years ago, when they were approving townships, when townships were a big issue and Salt Lake County had a bunch of townships, which was eventually solved by essentially making them small cities. But annexation was a big deal. And so you have half the annexation statute that applies to first-class cities, and the rest of it applies to all the other cities. And when you read it, it's almost impossible to sort out which is which. And so you're not the only ones that are confused. It's a
Glad they're
confusing
working on
Yeah.
something that is confusing instead of
should be easy.
parking, or they'll do that too, but.
Wilf's been tasked to do something with it.
Yeah.
They run out of productive things, I'm gonna suggest that they look into a new state insect.
A new state insect,
Yeah, spend a whole session on that.
crickets.
Just leave us alone.
Flag.
Now that the flag resolved.
Flag looks cool.
I'm just saying, like, because they're running, never mind.
I vote for crickets.
And the Colorado blue spruce is no longer the state tree. So it's aspen is the state tree. I wanted a limber pine, but that's okay.
Single lily a tree.
No.
Okay, is there any more questions on item 2? If not, let's go to item 1. Jake?
Okay, thank you. Sorry. There's a lot of traffic at 89 and
That interchange, yeah.
yeah.
Trying to get up the canyon.
Yeah. Any questions? Denise, do you want to pull up the
Okay,
ordinance?
no questions. Item 3.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Hammering on.
So what I did is I went through and took all the language that was in the memo last month and put it into the ordinance. And anything that is new or different from last month is in red. And anything that was previously in red is now black, so that way you could just see what is new. And I think this has everything that has been debated and recommended on that. So there's the first part, is that really the MRO is for a variety of choices, not necessarily infill, although that is the desire of it. Can be part of a larger development. Now the minimum size is 4 acres. And as a reminder, the purpose there is we end up with a little bit more substantial project, because mixed residential overlay will require an HOA. It's good to have a little bit of numbers with it so that they can survive. And also there's an open space requirement with that. So that'll be a little bit more substantial. Any questions on how that works when it goes bigger than 10? It's a 4-to-1 ratio, so 25% could be, and it's optional. It could be less than that. We're very specific on the base zoning where it is allowed. All the R zones and then where it is not allowed. Well, okay, not the R120 or the RR. And as a reminder, if a base zone is one of those and looks like a good project in a good place or not, the applicant can still apply to have their, they could do both simultaneously. They could say, part of my properties are R120 and part of it is R12. The part that's R120, I'm going to apply for a rezone to R112 and apply for the MRO at the same time. So it doesn't slow the project down at all. We do want to keep our commercial corridors as commercial. So Commercial Street and then State Street out to Young. Those two are not. And that's, you look at Morgan City and there's not a lot of land for a good commercial. Apart from the highway commercial, but that's a different deal. In terms of normal everyday shopping, we just have those 2 corridors. And so the purpose is to preserve those as commercial corridors. This part, I did hear from the engineer, he appreciated this addition, that 75% of the usable open space must be less than 10% slope. And how I read that is if part of it does have a slope that's greater than 10, then they would have to come in with a grading plan that would have to be approved at the same time. Okay, any questions? And then when if it is approved, then this will go in the regular zoning ordinance. We'll add it in. And have you added images before? Are there some images in the online legal tool?
Ordinance,
Yeah.
we've had graphs, but not images.
I did talk to Unico and they sent me the instructions and a video watch, so
Okay.
they will. work with Bradley's now.
Okay, great. Great. Any questions from the council or the mayor or
I think you've done a
Ty
good
on?
job, Jake. Thank
Thank
you. Jake was one of the presenters at the League of Cities and Towns here just last week and talked about Morgan City adopting an MRO, but he called Morgan a conservative town. Where did you come up with that?
I don't know.
I think that means having to hold our hand and walk us through this really slow.
You're conservative. You're a smart conservative.
Okay.
I don't mean it as a bad way. I didn't mean it.
I like that, actually.
The session was all about home ownership and how cities can promote home ownership. Some of the other speakers got more into the finance. I was more in the planning part. And part of it is having things that can be sold, units that can be sold. And that's a townhome, that's a small lot. It's a condominium, having so that people can buy property. There's a lot of developers that are well off and they'll be fine. We don't need to worry about them. It is as many people as can own their own place. It's good for America and it's good for economics. So it was more about the planning part of it. I did an exercise where I had everybody in the room stand and we started at 1 acre and then I went down in size and you had to sit down when your city hit the smallest
So you had the smallest allowable
lot size.
Lot
It was
size.
kind of fun to see.
What did we end up with?
A lot of them were about 8,000 square feet is where 10 to 8,000 is where a lot sat down. And
People standing though with a smaller.
yeah, there was a few that got down to about 5,000 square feet. Nobody at 2,500 or 3,000 square feet. And I gave Steve Waldrop a hard time. He's with the legislature or was because he's from Ogden Valley and 1 acre was already too small for his zoning in Ogden Valley.
Sounds like you need to do some work for them.
Well, he might be in the country, farm, which is good. We don't want to zone everything. I like the idea for when they did the Envision Cache Valley plan, the front title was keep the country and make the city. And I think that's a great philosophy that applies in Morgan is let's keep the country, the county, country, and let's make Morgan a city, which it is.
And annex.
Yeah.
Well, what I appreciate is the everybody's due diligence to go through this and to be careful. Because it's a big change. Any more discussion?
I expect it could change in the future too, as we.
Yeah, yeah.
We can progress.
Ordinances need to change and adapt and you do a couple projects and you look at what was built and then you make some changes after that. It's a good way to do planning and development is to keep up with things.
Come on in, we're just in a work session, so.
Okay, if not any more discussion on that item 3, Ty? Vista Phase 1?
Yeah, so this is up Jenny Lane. They have all the improvements in and are just ready they've been inspected and are just ready for conditional acceptance to start the 1-year guarantee period. So that's in the packet, the letter, the staff recommendation.
Has the escrow been established?
It will.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 144,000 something. Well, don't quote me on that. It's whatever it says in the packet.
I think it's pretty close.
$4,235.
Is it? Yeah. Sometimes I bring a number from another
Project.
something, yeah. But yeah, that's the requirement is to establish it. And they already know that and they're ready to do it, so.
Any more discussion on that? Okay, let's go to item 4. Still Solar 1B project, second amended and restated.
Yep, so we've already signed up. We've already done one for Still Solar, but the project has changed enough that it has to come back for council approval. It's been renegotiated and whatnot, but one of the big benefits is as part of that solar project, UAMPS has secured about 6 acres to do battery storage if we want to add that at our own cost. And so where we're doing a power purchase agreement with the solar company, we also have the option to install our own batteries and operate our batteries, discharge them at our own leisure. So it's basically co-located with the project, but we would own batteries if in the next 3 years UAMPS decides to add capacity there. So that's a good, a good option. I'm not sure UAMPS will do it, but just like the others we put in, and we ended up with 50 kilowatts. So it's pretty small commitment, but it's a little something solar right now.
So help my head on that. If the city had solar power, the city could control when they apply that.
UAMPS is a group. UAMPS would schedule it for us and,
Okay.
right, but solar right now, it produces at the wrong, like everybody's producing solar and you need the most of it in the evening when solar's died down and everybody comes home and turns on all their
Plugs their
Of-
cars in.
And so but UAMPS would be able to put whatever battery capacity we wanted and discharge it later, so we'd still buy the power at the rate, the 32 cents when it's produced.
So
And
UAPS has the 6 acres that
Uh-huh.
potentially they could put battery storage. When you say we, we're talking about UAPS. of course.
UAMPS,
Yeah.
yep.
So that 13% that we're in, that's 50 kilowatts. Is that what, I mean,
Mhm.
excuse me, 0.13%.
1.3%,
Yeah. 13/100%.
something like that, yeah.
A little over 1/10%. So the contract, though, Ty calls for the distribution of the remaining power if somebody backs out, if they can't fulfill their contract. It appeared that, and is it Washington City or somebody down there, St. George something, is 61% of the whole project.
Yeah.
But it appeared there was a limit of 25% of our amount that we would be required to take. Is that fair?
Yeah, so ours is a take or pay, so everything that now we have to take or pay for it. And then if someone backs out, then it gets redistributed by percentage.
Reallocated,
Uh-huh.
but
And then our percentage will go up.
right, our percentage go up, but in other words, we can't take 40% of
No, the budget.
Washington City. I think there's a cap, as I understood it, a cap of only 25% more than where we are right
Right
now.
now,
So
yeah.
if we're at 0.13%, that 25%, it takes up to 0.16.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that
we're-
limits our exposure.
Right,
Yeah, we just didn't want to be allocated everybody's for the
yeah.
rest of the project.
And so what happens is everybody puts in, right? So we all do a notice of request and then you have all of the subscription. And based on what we put in, it all gets reduced back down to the project size. And that's how we ended up with our percentage.
Yeah.
Hmm.
How do we get by with such a small amount? I mean, that just seems like it's hardly worth their time to keep it on the books.
Well, no, it's all of our power bills have all of that. It's just
Mhm.
automatic. It's all just metering data. And
I know
it's just
originally you talked
distributed.
about the transmission being close because it's up in Box Elder County.
Right.
How is it that it works for southern Utah if they're quite a ways away?
So it's wherever it gets on the grid is where it's built and wherever they
They'll have to
draw
pay for
from.
the transmission.
Every project has transmission built into
Yeah.
Yep, the charge. So it's not that the electrons actually get there. It's just,
But they've got to pay for some way to get it down there.
Yeah,
You've probably looked at, we don't have a significant cost. I think in addition to just the power, we have to pay for transmission, the maintenance, the billing, everything else. You don't see a significant amount in any of that. Okay.
And where it's still solar B, there's an advantage because still solar one is developed first. And then,
And we're part of that too,
we're just part of B.
the B, okay.
So a lot of the connection to the grid and the substation and all of that came with project A. And project B kind of rides on that, but there's some efficiencies. You know, we're not developing an entire project of 40 megawatts. It's,
Yeah.
anyway, that's where we're at with that one.
Kilowatts do we have rights to right now? Ty, do you know, with all of our,
Well, we're a 5.5 megawatt system. We're in the near future going to be about 1.5 megawatt short.
short of our needs?
Yep, that we,
That would be buying off of out of the pool, correct?
Yep. yeah,
And that cost sometimes is pretty exorbitant lately.
yep. Last month it was $171 and we're talking about $32 on this. So,
Yeah.
That price didn't change with the agreement, the new agreement,
no,
the amendment, okay.
I don't think so. They're just the terms. We just still were negotiating back and forth on terms. And a lot of those were the timing. So the project didn't come as soon as we had hoped when we originally signed up. And so we had to amend all of the schedules. But we did write in there for some battery option and stuff, so.
They'll meet their goal of being up and running in December,
That's,
looks like.
that's what they're agreeing to.
Where is it? At Box Elder County, I know that.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. 100%. I think it's on the west side.
I'd heard it was on the west side, but west of that steel plant there, but
Open country out there.
yeah, it'd be out of ways because you don't see it from the freeway.
But before you get to Nevada.
Winnemucca.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
We might be seeing the day where we need solar powered lights at night. To afford it. Any more discussion on that? Gary, once again, we didn't leave you much time for training. So we're gonna,
2 minutes.
we got 2 minutes, but some of us are old and we need to go visit the men's room. So
Well, I think you
I'll
learned
adjourn
about
this meeting.
annexation tonight, so,
That all right, Gary?
yep, I think you learned about annexation, so we're okay.
Okay.
Too much about annexation.
Did.
Denise, do I need to get on to another? Do I need to log on again?
No, just stay on.
Okay, all right. Thanks, you guys.
Oh, yeah.
Here, do that. You can, Microsoft, whatever you, let me know. Help desk guy help me through it. It's weird because then you can write a bench, have to put back 3 or 4 times, then go to settings, then go down here. The scanning QR cables,
Oh, man,
but
you got it.
Yeah.
And you have to do the 2 authentication before you can get in or anything?
no,
Or is that just logging?
I think you should log in. I think that's your initial one. Yeah.
Yeah, I went to log into Microsoft on this. Which is out of date, or outdated.
Yeah, just you're lucky to send you that Microsoft Authenticator.
Okay, we're gonna have to figure some dates out.
So, yeah, in fact, right
So
now,
I was confused because I was thinking receive the petition
yeah,
was when we got it. Instead of tonight. So tonight starts 30 days.
yes.
So 30 days from tonight is. The planning commission is 17th.
Right, but the council.
We need to have one on the 26th, and I have to give those 10 days before, so I'll have to do a notice for a public hearing before I leave the office.
We said that we could do ours.
Planning commission, that's what 17th.
Yes.
So is my 26th of September or the 10th? The 10th. Is my. Is my.
And then what we want to do.
More? Yeah.
One speaker said, don't use the word density. Another date, I didn't catch what the placement of the yeah, he didn't say. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't. I don't know. They're just. You're just defining this. What is the word?
Yeah. I think it's just saying like, well, you have certain houses for people instead of just. And then they put the same things. Or I think it's more like use something like smart growth. Better use of space. You know what I mean? Yeah. Well, that's probably better. Yeah, that's a little better for us. Yeah. That's how it felt.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
Even the same, I think it's not negative.
Sorry for the delay, everybody. Welcome to our Morgan City Council meeting today, September 12th, 2023 already. I've asked Eric if he'd give us a pledge of allegiance and Dave to offer us a opening prayer.
All right. Please repeat after me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we're gathered before thee as we begin our Morgan City Council meeting. We're thankful for the opportunity we have to convene. We're thankful for our community, for the beautiful valley that we live in, and we ask that we may continue to do so. We pray for a blessing on the meeting, ask that our decisions of the council will be in the proper interests of our community. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
Amen. Okay, do we have an approval of the meeting's agenda?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Let's go on to the item 2. And item A is changed to city council meeting, not work meeting, July 11th. B, city council meeting minutes, August 8th, and the warrants from 8/18/23 to 9/8/23. Any discussion or changes or? We have a motion to accept them.
Mayor, I've read the meeting minutes and reviewed the warrants and moved to approve.
Second.
Second. And, the word left me. Motion. Motion to accept the meetings, the minutes from the meetings of July 11th, 23, August 8th, 23, and the warrants 8/18/23 to 9/8/23. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Is there anybody requested any comments, Denise? Okay. All right, let's move to item number 4. And I wonder if I remembered it. I'll try it. We'd like to welcome from Tri-Utah, Dan Ammett. And do we have a mic for Dan? Okay,
You're right.
Do I need it?
yeah,
Turn it green. There we go.
There we go. How's that?
that's perfect.
Okay.
By the way, thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me. This is probably long overdue, but so I own Tri-Utah. We host an event that comes through Morgan and finishes in Morgan called the East Canyon Triathlon. And this happens to be our 10th anniversary. I started it in 2013. And I also managed the Morgan Valley Marathon in June. But with the anniversary of the East Canyon, I just kind of felt compelled to visit with you and just say thank you for allowing us to have our event in this wonderful city. It's our favorite venue. It's our participants' favorite venue. We host 7 triathlons throughout the state, all at different state parks. And Morgan is by far the favorite. And so that's pretty much it. I just wanted to say thank you. And I know that, occasionally it causes disruption in local traffic and things like that. And we try to, make sure we leave it cleaner than when we started. And your staff is impeccable. I love working with Stephanie. And so I just felt like doing that. And I just have a little plaque to say thanks for our 10th anniversary. This medal on the top is actually from our first race in 2013. So anyway, I don't know who to present that to. Give that to Deborah or
Right there to the mayor.
Okay.
I'm not gonna reach across. I'll come
Get
down.
down there for a picture.
This is like an honorary finish, right?
Yes.
Like when people get those degrees that they.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna do a picture. I didn't run a marathon.
That's awesome.
Very much. Thank you.
Just curious, how many participants?
This year we got 423.
Wow.
And we cap all of ours at 500. We try to keep them on the smaller side.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the most we've ever had actually this year.
So a
Mayor-
triathlon.
East Canyon bike.
So they
and,
swim a mile up
Yeah.
East Canyon.
Whoa.
Bike from East
And
Canyon.
they bike 25 miles and they end up at Riverside Park. And then we run on the trails and neighborhood streets.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
So anything we could do better or any complaints from the participants? It was busy. There was a lot of vehicles here that day. I just was curious if there was any negative feedback.
No, on our end, if we continue to grow it, we'll probably, and we tussled with the idea this year actually of moving the venue to the fairgrounds for better parking. Because when there are sports games going on at the high school, I think we kind of affect the parking there. So we may move it to the fairgrounds if the fairgrounds is available on that weekend.
That's the reason I ask is because that morning, I know they was parked all the way down your street. They were parked.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a problem for me
Yeah.
personally, but I just noticed there was,
No, for our participants, they don't care as long as they can find a place to park, and a lot of them park up at East Canyon too. But we shuttle them back and forth in buses, some shuttle buses. I'm just excited for that bridge to be finished so we can get our running course back to the way it used to be, kind of on some trails and stuff. So, yeah.
So do you have any clout to get us a nice trail up to East Canyon? Okay. Yes.
Imagine a lot of the participants shop in town or go to the restaurants, or do you hear of economic local boosts?
So for this race, the economic impact from gasoline and food and the hotel, it's right around $70,000 for Friday and Saturday, which is pretty good for an event that size. I know Ironman touts in their St. George race with 1,500 participants to 2,000, like over 17 million. And that's not accurate. There's no way.
Yeah.
Because, but yeah, so about, right around that number.
Have you set a date for next year?
Yes, but I don't have it in my brain. It's in August. The 10th. Saturday, the 10th. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And if you don't want to bore yourself with the rest of the meeting. Thanks, Dan. Okay, I'd like to turn some time over to Ty to introduce a new employee.
Yep, so this is Matt Fry. Go ahead and.
Stand and take a bow.
So Matt Fry is our new Parks and Cemetery Manager. He
Oh,
just
awesome.
Started Tuesday.
Last week,
Last
Wednesday.
week?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Wednesday of last week when we were at the League of Cities and Towns Conference, but he's drinking from a fire hose, but we've only opened it halfway so far. So we're excited to have him. He really fits what we need at this time in that department. So if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, most of you probably know who I am and know me as a kid. Don't hold that against me. Family's been in town for forever. Biggest thing I can say is I'm excited to do it because I have a lot of pride in the community. I have a lot of pride in the city. Obviously, I grew up here. I'm raising my family here. And I understand that Morgan has a standard, and maybe that standard's not being met at the moment, but I'm going to make it so it meets that standard and then exceeds the standard because, like I say, I take pride in it. And you guys, knowing me and knowing my family, know that's the truth. I'm not just blowing smoke up here. So I'm extremely excited for the opportunity and grateful to be back in Morgan working instead of in Salt Lake, working in the middle of the night and stuff like that. So that helps. But any suggestions, anything you'd like to offer, I'm more than open to it. And honestly, I really look forward to working hand in hand with you and getting things done and bringing things up to the right standard. So perfect.
I'm excited because you have lots of relatives that are laying at rest up there.
Hopefully
Which-
they're excited.
Yeah.
Hopefully they're not
Yeah.
shaking their head going.
Yeah,
"Oh,
oh,
my
man.
goodness."
But what I mean, that does put a sense of pride.
Definitely.
And I didn't have any problems with you as a youngster, so.
Well, good. We must not have interacted too much. No, I really look forward to it.
We're excited.
Great.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
And you have the same option.
I don't know how many kids he's got, but I've got 5 at home that I'm sure my wife wouldn't mind. So,
That's the most important thing.
exactly. I gotta be happy when I come to work tomorrow. So,
That's right. Hey, thanks.
Thanks, Nick.
See
Have a
ya.
good night.
That's awesome. Very good.
Very good.
Yeah, I'm excited. Okay, let's move on to item 5, active agenda. And item A has been discussed and discussed and discussed, and it's been an incredible journey. Not saying it's not making any prophecy that's coming to a conclusion, but I think we've learned a whole bunch, at least I have. So I'd like to turn item A, amendment to Title 10. I won't go through the rest of it. Ordinance 23-04 to Jake, if you could take us home on that.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll just provide a really brief overview. This is the mixed residential overlay zone. It is a new planning and zoning tool, something the city hasn't had before. And it's an overlay zone, so it's not immediately or directly applied to zoning. Figuratively speaking, we say that it's this zoning tool that's up in the cloud, and an applicant would come in and apply for that. And then their property could be rezoned. First they would go through the planning commission, public hearing, they would make a recommendation in favor or against. And then it would come to the city council, and the city council would have the final say on that. The minimum, according to the current draft, is recommended. The minimum acreage is 4 and the maximum is 10. If the land goes beyond that, then it's a 4-to-1, with 3 parts being in the base zoning and 1 part being in the overlay. And the purpose of this zone is to provide a variety of housing types, smaller homes, smaller lots, attached houses in the form of townhomes. It also while it does come with additional units, it also comes with additional design requirements. Porches, garages need to be done a certain way, a usable open space in terms of some kind of pocket park. And so street trees and landscaping, and the architecture needs to be unique in a variety. So by design, we're not going to see any cookie cutter developments or staff developments. They're going to have to come up with some original designs, and it can't be stamped it can't be all the same. So
on that, Jake, it gives more flexibility for the city to get on the design and the planning. It also, I hate to say affordable housing because it's not, but it might be more attainable housing.
correct. And I hope it is. With a smaller piece of property, piece of land, and not a giant house, then it certainly should be more attainable. But it's not going to be necessarily cheap either.
Yeah.
Just the cost of land, cost of construction, and also we did set a bar with this development. It's not mobile homes or something like that.
Yeah, you've done a great job.
So with that, I'll turn the time back to you, and council can deliberate and discuss and make your decision if you're ready.
Okay, is there any? You're smiling, Tony.
Oh, I was just gonna say, we've done a great deal of deliberation already, so.
Gone with this for a long time.
And in light of that, if you're prepared for a motion, I'll make a motion.
I'm prepared.
Okay, then I will make a motion to adopt, approve the amendment to Title 10, Chapter 10.04, Section 10.04.010, colon, Chapter 10.2, Sections 10.12.010 and 10.12.040, and enacting Title 10, Chapter 10.15, Mixed Residential Overlay Zone of the Morgan City Code, Ordinance 2304. So I will make a motion to approve Ordinance 2304.
And I think if you'd say as recommended in the packet, because does have the modifications from the planning commission.
As recommended in the packet.
Any discussion?
I mentioned, Steve, that for somebody just listening in tonight or tuning in tonight, that there's been many, many hours and days, and will even go into weeks and months. And I'm not sure this could even go back a year when it was first considered or first started.
It does go back a year in terms
Okay.
of a
And-
kickoff.
And so anybody that would have any interest in it, there's meetings between the planning commission and the council that need to be reviewed to understand. And you need to really be educated to understand what it is. And I think that's critical. That's important in considering the decision tonight.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
that said, I'll second the motion.
Okay. We have a motion. Do you have a comment? Yeah? No. Jeffrey? To accept, I'm gonna say ordinance 23-04. Is that all right?
Okay.
And a motion by Tony, a second by Dave. And this will be all in favor? Or
Ordinance, roll call.
roll call? Okay, Dave. Eric,
Nay.
okay, Tony.
Yay, yes.
Aye.
Okay, so it passes with a 3-1. Okay. That let me take a breath. Item B. Thanks for being here. Consideration to accept annexation petition for 54.17 acres of property located at approximately 550 West Old Highway Road, 936 and 1075 North, 700 East, and 1050 North, 600 West, Morgan, Utah, 84050. And this has been requested by Lisa C. Priest. Ty.
So this, we discussed this in the work session. We received a notice of intent from Lisa, and I reminded the council that we also have an agreement on that property when we did a sewer easement that we agreed to 5 connections and also annexation. And so this starts that process of annexation request. We don't have any concern as far as staff concern. I think it's a good thing where we already offer water and power service to the current properties, and just allows more options, I think, for future development on those parcels. And so tonight, what we're considering is if we're interested in pursuing the process so that it can go to planning and zoning, and we can have a public hearing and then work out some details if it requires an annexation agreement or anything of that nature. But tonight's basically just your decision to accept the intent.
Petition.
And we do have the applicant here. I assume you're willing to take questions if they have any, or well, not that you need to. I don't. I just hate to represent the full project when
So let me.
somebody's here to.
Just get this straight. What tonight would be is a petition to accept the proposal.
To accept the notice of intent.
A motion to accept the petition.
Petition.
Well, I'll tell you this.
Yeah, so what it's not is the annexation decision, which will come after public hearing and process.
But this in a sort of roundabout way gets the ball rolling.
Yep.
Yeah, so that everybody can move forward. And if I understand it right, it'll go before the planning commission.
Mhm.
We're gonna either accept or not accept the petition tonight. If we accept it, then it would go onward to the planning
Yeah,
commission.
so the planning commission will be discussing it next week, and then And then the following planning commission will have a public hearing to determine the zoning that would be applied if accepted. And then in next month's city council meeting, you'll have a public hearing. Is that right, Gary?
That's correct.
And that meeting is the 24th of October or the 10th? The 10th. Is that correct?
And if the planning commission has not made their recommendation at that point, it can be delayed, it can be tabled, so.
But then the final decision will be the
24th.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Hi.
Is that right, Gary?
I didn't hear that, was it?
So at the council, the public hearing will be October 10th. And then most likely the planning commission will determine the zoning October 17th. And then the council would make the final vote, most likely October 24th here at the council.
And on that 17th, it would be a public
Public hearing.
hearing. There would be notification of a public hearing for the 17th or the 24th.
17th, and that would be continued to the 24th for a final decision.
Yes.
The 10th.
Yeah, the
Just
public
so we
hearing would be the 10th.
Public hearing for the city council would be October 10th, and then we would postpone it to the 24th because the planning commission can't meet until the 17th of October,
Is that-
correct?
Is that when their public hearing would be?
Yes,
The 17th?
17th.
Does the public hearing remain open during that
Yeah.
2 or 3 week period?
Mhm.
Yes.
So the council will close the hearing then,
On the
or we open and close it.
Correct.
So help me with it remaining open. What does that mean as far as, is that somebody can comment on it or?
Yes. And it means that we don't have to renotice it. Correct, Gary?
That's correct, yeah. You just.
And-
Okay.
and public comments can be made on the 10th and the 24th.
Okay.
That's correct.
Did you get that?
Between, it sounds like.
The 3 weeks in a row on Tuesday, 10th, 17th, and 24th. And next Tuesday too, but next Tuesday will be more of a discussion with the planning commission. And it won't be a public notice. It'll be on the agenda, but not a public notice. But October 10th, 17th, and 24th will be publicly noticed.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Here,
Tony?
I am prepared to make a motion that we accept the annex petition for 54.17 acres of property located at approximately 555 West Old Highway Road, 936 and 1075 North, 700 East, and 1050 North, 600 West, Morgan, Utah, as requested by Lisa Priest.
Okay, we have a motion to accept the annexation petition. Do we have a second?
I'll second that, Mayor.
Okay, Dave,
Aye.
Eric? Aye. Tony? Jeffrey?
Aye.
Okay. That's unanimous, Denise.
I did want to ask one item on that. I don't know off the top of my head, what will the notification be in terms of, is it 600 feet from the property? In terms of the mailing, what will go out on that?
Leslie Hyde, the county clerk, she has already, since the notice of intent was sent, I believe it was yesterday, she sent out a notice to property owners within 300 feet of the annexed property mentioned in the petition.
Yeah.
my question for Gary, which Teresa and I discussed today, and I'll just ask it here. The notice she figured the 300 feet from Lisa's home, which is the property at the top of the annexation map, but not any of the property owners that are below the freeway. So on the list of the property owners that she sent the notice, those property owners are not listed. Do I need to ask her to send those out for 300 on the below area also?
I would do that.
Okay. Thank you.
So that would be the property below the freeway. Okay.
The gentleman that
The ones that it would be butting up to the city limit or the city boundary.
who owns that, you said? Who owns it?
That next one. Oh. Not sure if that's John. Okay,
Can I ask one more question? Do you want us to proceed with putting together an annexation agreement to cover those properties that will be coming in the future where the developer will develop most of the improvements, but we want to reserve the right to request that the existing properties also put in improvements at that time?
Yeah, is that something that we need tonight, or do they need to amend?
No, they don't. They don't need to do anything. Just let us know and we'll begin drafting that. So.
Okay. So we'll start working with staff on that and probably propose that at the, whatever we anticipate there. So. Yeah, it's basically how to address the existing properties and
Correct. Yeah.
what, like just right of way or easement or whatever we need to record on there just to facilitate development as it occurs.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you. Is there any more discussion? Do you have anything you'd like to say, Priestess? Yeah, I'm one that I'm not familiar with government things. Some things just seem very slow to me. But I appreciate your efforts and we was trying to figure out when the last proposal was, and I don't think any of us can date back to when that was for an annexation. So thank you for your patience with us. Okay, if there's no more discussion. And we've had the motion, correct? Did we get a second?
Yeah. We passed it. We passed it.
It's already passed? Why'd we discuss it after?
So as my fault, I wanted to clarify the notification process.
Great. Okay, here we go.
Sometimes, Mayor, sometimes government moves really fast too.
Yeah, it just moved fast. Okay, you have the same option as the others. I'd make somebody go buy somebody an ice cream while it's still open. Thank you.
Good night.
Okay, sorry about that. I just left it, I guess. Let's move to agenda item C, conditional acceptance of Valley Vista Estate Phase 1. So Ty?
So the improvements have been completed at Valley Vista Estates and they're requesting conditional acceptance in order to start the 1-year guarantee period on the improvements. They will set up an escrow account to cover anything. So see how everything survives the winter. It's usually the challenge up here. You put in the infrastructure and then hope it survives its first winter. But staff recommends that the engineers they've hit all the punch list items on their inspection, so. I and staff recommend that we do that, so.
So help me on that, Ty, on that development. That Jenny Lane's,
Mhm.
so that is above Jenny Lane on the other side of the road?
Yeah, so it comes off of 700 East and Jenny Lane goes up north and then wraps around. There's two roads up there.
Trying to see where you're at, Denise, farther west.
Further west, yeah. It's in that
No, the other west.
north and then west, so it's
So go down Old Highway.
right there in the green. Yep.
Okay, so as you go up and hook into Jenny Lane and then it goes up to that cul-de-sac,
Mhm.
and this is which area? This side of the? Cause isn't all this approved where the squares are and the,
Sunset.
so it'll be on.
So it's the improvements that go from Jenny Lane, all of Jenny Lane and then North Sunset Drive that connect into the old Sunset Drive. So all the subdivision is all of the road, curb gutter, sidewalk, water, power, sewer, all of those are the improvements that have been made. And that's what we're accepting because those all belong to the city now. When we accept it.
Okay.
But we're doing a conditional acceptance tonight, which gives them a year.
Year, and then after a year, then we claim any warranty items. So if we have to go back and fix a sidewalk or, you know,
And then in a year, we
something
do,
failed in a sewer line or,
Sinkhole on the road.
yeah, then we make them do them.
and then in a year, we do a final acceptance if everything is up to par.
Okay, so that's where I'm confused, where all of these lots with numbers, that's approved, correct?
Yeah, they were all approved.
Yeah.
And when the building takes place, if we make that acceptance tonight, then it'll be a year from now. But there's not much building going on.
So they can build at any point.
We're just accepting the infrastructure,
We're not
the
accepting the
road,
lots, we're accepting
Infrastructure.
yeah.
the road, the sidewalk.
That's what I'm saying. If the road's tore up, I mean,
Well, in a year's time, if you're not happy with something up there that like sewer or water or roads or curb or gutter, that's what that $144,000 is for, to fix it before we give it final acceptance.
And then they come back and fix it, and then we'll cut their escrow money loose.
If we don't,
that's a year from now.
yes, if we don't use all the
But
escrow
if the
money.
construction, like say the sidewalk, normally that does crack out and they.
It
put
can,
Equipment over it.
yeah,
Or
or,
past the year from today, then the city's just out to replace that.
It wouldn't be us.
Wouldn't be the city.
Well, after a year, it's ours.
yeah, after a year, it's ours.
But we start the year today.
Is there a reason we'd start it today and not later?
Because they're done. So once they're done with all the improvements and they ask us to accept it, conditionally accept it, and that's what we're doing tonight. Because there's no more work to be done. And so all of the roads, curb gutter, sidewalk, storm drain, power, sewer, water has all been inspected and installed up to our standards. But instead of just accepting it, then we conditionally accept it. And then after a year, so say like the soil above a sewer line collapses and the sidewalk falls in with it, then we have them tear it out and replace it before we take final acceptance. So we see how all that infrastructure
So that's where
performs over 1 year. You
where
should at least
this-
get 1 year to prove itself out.
that's where our engineer is given the letter, i.e. the staff has given the letter saying the inspection's been made and the improvements are done. as per our standards.
Okay,
Well, I guess I could think what Mayor's point. If you get up there to 832 and 738 and they don't build on those for another 3 years and they pull in there with cement trucks and beat the guts out of the curb and gutter, that's on us.
Well, we hold they're building off of a current city street, and so, yeah, we would have that builder replace it because it's
Replace
them
that.
that damaged it. It's not the sidewalk that just failed. If the sidewalk fails and nobody's built on those lots, then it's a warranty item.
Okay,
But I understand what you're saying. You're saying, should we wait till everything's been built there before we accept, you do conditional acceptance,
well, at
but
least farther along in that.
yeah, but I guess to Jeffrey's point, I mean, it could be 4 or 5 years before somebody builds a home, you know.
some of those build out.
But we've already accepted the subdivision is basically what
Yeah.
we're.
Yeah, and that's, it's coming square in my head now. So if a developer or the contractor was building on lot 730 and he cracked the sidewalk out, then that wouldn't be on the city, that would be on the developer,
Contractor.
the contractor. Okay. Great.
Okay.
Thanks for your help. Okay, so is there a motion?
Steve, I'd move to grant conditional acceptance to the Valley Vista Estates Phase 1 with a condition that an escrow be set up in the amount of $144,002.35 for a 10% guarantee.
I'll second that motion, Mayor.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? Dave?
No. Oh, I. No more discussion.
Eric?
Better than saying what?
That's
What do you want?
I like it. Eric?
Aye.
Tony? Jeffrey?
Aye.
Okay, Denise? That goes, the conditional acceptance. Okay, the item D, I talked to Ty earlier.
See you, Jake. Good night.
See you, Jake.
Yeah,
Take
thanks,
care.
Jake. Appreciate all your efforts for several months on this.
Hopefully we get a good project at some point, we're ready.
We're just waiting to see some drone pictures of the bridge project.
Oh, I've got lots of them.
Yeah,
I'll send them over.
Keep Morgan conservative.
that's right.
Free t-shirts.
Affordably conservative. How's that? Thank you. Travel safe. Okay, so the food pantry is out from under Grace Church, and it's more of a community. And so there's other contributors to keep its existing and keep the doors open. And I was thinking that possibly we could talk about the city helping a little bit with that. But Ty dug up some possible grants that would be more effective, and we wouldn't be chipping into tax money. So can I just say that we'll postpone item D until a further time? Is that okay? Okay.
So I'm curious, what were you thinking? I mean, what was your
Like a $1,200 a year.
donate,
$100 a month.
a monetary donation? Oh, okay. I didn't know if you meant a physical facility or. Yeah.
Offer
No, it's mainly for the rent.
Okay.
All the food and everything's pretty much donated and.
So is the Grace Church not going to allow them to use their building any longer?
No, it was Grace Church was kind of handling the whole program,
Uh-huh.
but it's more of a community
Right.
need. And so there's as many that come from all parts of our valley, not just the city. So it's now who is running it, her and her husband are going to continue to run it on a community level, not under Grace Church.
Does Grace Church charge rent
No.
for their building?
No, well, it's through Stan Stewart's is the property or that they lease to. There's other contributors that help with the rent. But I guess I guess I'm sentimental to it because I've been there several times and I've seen that it's really a need.
Yeah.
And it's so much better than what we had in the basement. I mean, it's incredibly better. And
Who
Does
sponsors
the
the
county,
pantry?
does the county pay for the employee there?
Yeah, it's the same question. Who sponsors
you
the
know,
pantry?
well, the pantry was being sponsored by Grace Church. Now it's, I don't think the county or the city is gonna sponsor it. It's gonna be the director and. So
There's no state affiliation then.
no, other than the inspector came, and so let's say, for instance, the bank buys a lamb and a hog and a beef from the fair.
Sure.
And they've always just donated the whole thing to the pantry. So the inspector came in and said they can't accept that because it's not, what do you call that? When you grade an animal?
Oh, it's not
Yes.
graded, it's
DA.
FDA.
SDA approved, graded.
Typically in those plants, though, some of the plants, they have a inspector right there in the plant I've been at.
Yeah, that,
They have the inspector right beside the plant, typically where I take my beef.
amen.
I mean, honestly, there's two guys there and.
Yeah, but it isn't stamped USDA approved, and so it was a big blow. I'll just say an instance I had there was a mom and her son. And this has been several months ago, and he's probably 10 or 11, the boy. And he came up to the lady that's running it, directing it, and asked if they ever had any steaks. And the mom said, "We don't need steaks." And she said, "Do you want a steak?" And he says, "I love steak." And she took him back to the freezer and she said, "You pick out enough steaks for you and your family." And it really touched me. Because this wasn't somebody in rags. This was a person trying their best to make it, but you know, the power bills, the gas bills,
It's easy to get behind.
yes, and it's difficult. I don't know if this was a single mom. I'm not sure. But it's a difficult situation, and I saw something in that little guy's eyes that was very rewarding. So I thought on an emotional experience I had, but then digging deeper into my soul about it, that it's a needed facility for our county. And so that's why I was going to propose that we maybe put some money in it from the city, but Ty came up with maybe a better option, so we'll postpone it.
Sounds like a deal.
Okay. Item E. Still Solar 1B project. Resolution 23-30. So Ty, can you bring us up to date again?
Yeah, so this is amended agreement for a still solar project B, which is a solar farm, and we've already agreed to the first one, but the contract negotiations have gone back and forth to the point where we need to bring it back to council. And so there's some talking points in the packet. The terms that they kind of had a delay to get started and then escalating costs, but there was also grant opportunity that they've applied for. If they're successful, we get to cost share in the savings on the grant. And then it also made the battery portion of the solar under UAMPS control. Basically, if we decide to do a battery as part of it. So if you
So how
hopefully
do-
read through the talking points in the agreement, I didn't cover all of that. But if you have any questions, I'll take them.
So the people involved in it are on that last page, and can you help me with who is SUVESD? That's Southern University?
No, we're,
On I guess you'd call them the
A member.
member?
Members.
Very last page, schedule 1 on the.
oh, I see. So that's a special service district. Southern Utah Valley, I think.
Electrical service
Yeah, electrical service district. So that's in Utah County, kind of,
Okay, I just
it's just one of the,
didn't know who it was.
oh, yeah, no, I was thinking of the like Desiree and how they've all asked it. Made their ones an acronym, so. So there's another one of the
Utah
UM
Valley Electric Special District.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, with the prior discussion in the work meeting, and is there any more discussion we need, or are we prepared for a motion?
Get the agenda. Get it right side up.
Steve, I'd move to approve the resolution authorizing the Steel Solar 1B project second amendment and restated transaction schedule under the master firm power supply agreement with Utah Associated Municipal Power Systems and related matters.
I'll second the motion, Mayor.
Okay, we have a motion to accept resolution 2330 and a second. Believe I'd call a roll, right? Dave,
Aye.
Eric?
Aye.
Tony?
Aye.
Jeffrey?
Aye.
Okay. That passes, Denise. Okay, let's move on to number 6, item A. Is there anything the city council has been out and discovered?
I have one item. So Gary, I think there must be some noise in the picture that we're getting here. Every once in a while, when you lean back to take a nap or whatever, there's a logo that shows up on the screen. It just seemed odd.
I did notice he covered it up during the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, there it is. Bingo. It's got to be a bad connection.
Oh, I didn't have time to change for you, Dave, before I came to the meeting tonight, so.
Go back to sleep.
I learned that's an abbreviation for WHY.
WHY.
Anyway,
Proud of it. There you go.
Tony.
Yes, so Wasatch Integrated, which is management services, of course, which is the special service district that we are a part of when it comes to our trash and garbage collection, passed the other day an ordinance, a resolution, I guess an ordinance, that they are going to mandate that all of the cities and which includes Morgan City, Morgan County, Davis County, cities in Davis County, they are going to mandate that there be a recycling can at every residence. So that's coming down the pike. I know that they've invited all the city managers down to a meeting, city managers and staff to tour the facility, and also an opportunity for them to ask questions as well. So being part of that special service district, what's the correct terminology to use here? When it passed, we're just along for the ride. So it's going to be mandated and required that we here in the city and in Morgan County have a blue recycling can. what sort of precipitated this whole thing is they built a MRF, which is a recycling facility, a municipal recycling facility. They call them MRFs. And originally they were going to just do what they called commingle recycling, which means that whatever you dumped into your black can or your garbage can, they were going to haul down there and they were going to have people sit there on a line and pick all the recyclables off the line. That turned out to be pretty expensive, labor intensive. Also, it wasn't very efficient. I think it was like under 10% of that they were collecting as far as recyclables were concerned. So they decided to do this, what's called this single stream recycling, which means that everyone will now have a blue can. So everything that's in the blue can should be recyclable, which is going to make their facility much more efficient, but it will come at a cost to our citizens and constituents. I can't tell you exactly how much that'll be right now. Yeah, I think it'll be an every other week pickup. And let's see what else. I know there's, I think Ty's an example. So sorry, Ty, I'll use you. Ty's already doing it privately with I think he said Ace Disposal, paying $10 a month. For folks that are doing that, my guess is it's going to probably save them a little money because I don't think it's going to be anywhere near $10 a month for this new program. But and so some folks will save some money. But anyway, again, because we're part of that special service district, and even if it's something that we didn't necessarily want in the city or the county, the majority voted in favor of mandating that. There already are a lot of cities in the district that have curbside recycling. I know my daughter lives in Centerville. She has 3 cans. She has a black can, a blue can for recycling, and she also has a green can for yard waste. I think Michael Newton and I have both made the point that the blue can, okay, but a green can, I think that could be a bit of a battle here in Morgan City, where we have the transfer station over there where people can go dump grass and leaves right now for nothing, just a service to our community. So anyway, so be prepared. And I guess it's the future. So
Right.
Did that rub anybody wrong?
I already got a blue can.
save some money then. And like I said, I think it'll be under $10. I don't know the exact cost, but it should be. And yeah, so I think 2/3 of the district probably already now have their cities, may not require it, but have the have a curbside recycling. So, and I know a lot of the cities, it was an opt-out to begin with, which meant we're going to do it. And if you don't want it, call us and opt out of it. So, and I don't know what percentage some of those cities have as far as blue cans, but it's now going to be mandated. So anyway. Yeah.
So what
They could-
obligation does the city have? Any obligation?
Well, the one thing I was going to say, David, I'm glad you asked that, because I told Ty this, I'm not really sure about the can itself, if that's going to be provided by Wasatch Integrated, or because if we had to buy a blue can, that's going to be fairly costly. So that's a question that I got to get clear on myself. So.
Question for you, Gary. Is that how it is in Layton City? The city provide the can?
The city doesn't provide the can. I don't know. I'd have to check. I'm thinking that the person who orders it pays for it. Does that sound right, Tony?
That's been a topic of a lot of discussion, and quite frankly, Nathan Rich, the director there, is kind of, I don't think he quite knows what to think, because some of the cities, Wasatch Integrated provided the cans. Some of the cities purchased their own cans. And so in the interest of fairness, I think he's trying to figure out how to do this so it's fair to all the different municipalities, somewhat fair to them that already have started the program. And like I said, some, I think Wasatch Integrated furnished the cans, and some, I think the city themselves purchased them. So I'm not sure where that's going to land yet. So, well, find out for sure.
Okay, thank you, Tony.
May I say one other thing? And also, I think there's a lot of people that have moved in our community that actually are quite surprised that we haven't already done that. So, I'm not saying that makes it right or wrong. I'm just saying I think a lot of people expect it. So anyway.
Anything else?
Thanks, staff, for great dinner the other night at the park. That's always a fun event to go and see everybody and rub shoulders. So a great time for those of us that made it.
That was number 48 for me, so I didn't make that.
That's all you are, 48 years old. Congratulations.
With my wife. Okay, Ty.
Sure. So, and I just mentioned too, we had the Utah League of Cities and Towns Conference that Dave and I attended, as well as Denise and Teresa. So it was, they had a full recorders day. Denise had a lot to do with putting that together and combining efforts with the conference, and was a huge success, but it was a good conference.
Yeah, it was
Good agenda. And there was,
very timely.
yep. When Dave and I first set out, he said, well, I'll just go to whatever you're going to. And then
I don't think we ever went to
No.
the same.
And then after looking at the agenda, he's like, that looks more interesting over here. And we divided and conquered between, the four of us. Most of the time we were in different sessions. It was good. Anyway, just thought I'd bring that up too.
Good point.
So project updates, I think I talked about this last time, the natural gas generator project, and that I think I brought up, we're just getting our services, natural gas lines installed. And we just have to up the pressure here at this building. And then we're also doing a direct, after we've done some pricing, we've just, instead of going through third party, we're just gonna probably end up going straight to Wheeler Cat to get those generators. With their engineer, their hookup, their install, all of that, comes with that pricing. So we'll see how that turns out, but some cost savings there anyway, we're excited about. Then personnel updates. So Ty Lopshire has given his 2 weeks notice. So he's the current, or was the Parks and Cemeteries manager. And then Trent has also given his notice. He was with the roads department. He just recently got married and he's moving on, just more income, more opportunity, that sort of thing. So we're a little short staffed right now. We're just filling in with some temporary seasonal people just to get us through the shoulder season into the winter, but we'll probably have another parks position posted here shortly. So
Denise, can you drive a snow truck?
well, you could drive one of the pumpkins.
I can drive a potato spud truck, but no snowplow.
Little Kubota with a little plow on the front. You could,
Yeah.
that'd be awesome.
Four-wheeler?
Yeah, so then my only other update, just have to thank Laurie Moore. She's worked a ton on this, but we now have our spatial generations on our website. So it's all GIS based. So you can go to either one of our cemeteries and see every one of the plots. It's all online now. It's just like a normal GIS map where you has a search bar, so you can search by name and discover where loved ones are buried. And then if you go visit, you can locate them that way. So huge project to get, from the way we kept our mapping before to get it converted over to a GIS later and then published. And so it's on our website now. So anyway, it's on our website, just under cemetery. You go to departments and then cemetery, and it's the very top link. And I have it pulled up right now. I was just kind of playing around with it. It's
Am I on there yet?
pretty detailed.
Your plot is-
I'm close.
Your plot is on the,
Yeah.
Is it?
I don't know.
We walk in that cemetery all the time and I keep asking, where's our final resting place? Somewhere over here.
So it's just these two boxes right here. right? Or is it here?
That one, yep, click on that.
So that information board at the South Cemetery, that won't have the printout?
No, we'll still update those. We still need to do a better, redo those information boards. We've ordered new ones.
It needs some shade or something.
Yeah, just so it doesn't. But we have ordered some new, I think the new ones actually have a little roof on them. But if you go just to that plus and minus button on the left right there and just plus, just zoom in. And then you can move the cursor over, just grab the map and move it. Yep.
So you can search by deceased then, is that right?
Yeah.
Uh,
I didn't want to, just for privacy,
Tony
unless you
London.
know somebody. But
You do. Keep going.
down, so
You can't X out of that legend there.
go left. Or make it smaller, but
There you're coming, right there.
yep. So if you just zoom in on that plus button,
Oh, wow. Well, that's pretty neat. I'll say.
so you just keep zooming in, you can just click on one, it'll show you kind of the information.
You could go into,
Click on a green one, that's the. Yeah. And then, yep, so if you click on that, the play sign right there, it'll actually zoom in further, so the legend comes up. A little more. And then just click on one of them.
It's occupied.
Yeah, mine comes up with, oh, there you go. So if you scroll down, it goes through all the, oops, stay there just with your mouse, you can,
That's interesting.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's interesting.
go back up to the top.
Is that what you clicked on originally?
I think it's the next,
Morgan Cemetery.
yeah. So click on that, then just with your cursor scroll down.
One in Croydon,
Oh, up or down?
Got that middle name.
Thackeray.
you hit the arrow on the right hand side.
I didn't know Clarence.
Okay. And then it
It just-
claps, yeah.
Really?
Well, that one might not have more information. So if you click on one, then it has all of the. Some of them have maybe more information than others, but. Yeah, so up there, click the right arrow on the top. So that's page 1 of 2. There, click that one. Then it,
India.
so anyway. And Larry's available if anybody needs help.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he's killed in the war.
1945.
To help them figure out
Yeah,
where that's at.
they got that body all the way to here.
Wow, she did a lot of work on this, didn't she?
So hopefully that's useful for. People that want
They
to
could go see
look
if I-
remotely before they
Plot up there, huh?
Yeah.
Die.
come here, yeah.
They do. Cindy refuses to be born and buried in Croydon.
That's all of the updates I have.
He told her, he says, why not? It's a pioneer cemetery, so.
Gary made it all the way through my updates this time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It's easier on video.
it's pretty interesting.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
By the way, not, nice stage, Ty, nice stage. I saw it over at the, what was it called? Old Town?
Concert.
Hometown. Hometown, yeah,
Had
small
a,
town, yeah.
had a little training on it where the guys went over and I got to watch them put it up and down.
Yeah.
It's pretty ingenious. Somebody spent a lot of time figuring out how to.
Big
Get that
thanks
to
to
work.
Lance for traveling to Missouri to go get it.
He trained everybody else on it. He went through the training when he picked it up too.
Oh, he kinda likes that stuff.
I think he
Yeah,
does
he
that
was-
long hauling.
I told him, this is kind of funny because I told him before he went, I said, you ought to take somebody with you. And he looked at me like I was from Mars, like.
To sit that close to me, are you kidding?
And so anyway, but he entertained the idea and then we just didn't have enough extra people to do that. I just thought for safety and maybe team drive or whatnot. And anyway, he's like, when he got back, he's like, I'm so glad you didn't send anybody with me because after the first 30 minutes, I would have known what to say. It would have been a long trip. Just anyway, he's a good guy.
Well, thanks, everybody, for everybody's input tonight. Some big decisions tonight, but with that, we'll adjourn.
You know, I was always under the impression